the sound of those major seventh chords, it's a sign that you must be tuned into the 117th SongBike Guitar Q&A live stream coming at you from the Connecticut River Valley. Hey, everybody, welcome. It's November 8th, and I hope you had a great week. I had a great week. I hope you had a chance to play some guitar. I hope you took advantage of some of the stuff we did in last week's live stream, and you got your chops together and worked on some stuff. We got some new stuff this week. We're going to start very soon, so grab your guitar. Those of you who are right here, 5 p.m. Eastern, and you got your guitar ready to go, I want to get started, right? I want to say thank you for being here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. So we're going to start very, very soon with a lesson you'll never forget. Other things you have to look forward to in today's live stream include, we got a poll question up and running. The poll question is, do you play to impress people? And answers include, well, I don't mind if I impress people, but that's not my number one priority. Answer number 2, no. I play the guitar for my own health and wellness, and that's all. And number 3, well, kind of want to impress people, sure. That's one of my main priorities. And number 4, of course, is other. What else do we have going on tonight? We are going to talk about some fun stuff. We're going to talk about a couple of student quotes of the week. Repair prices at Guitar Center. Duke Levine's new CD. How one chord defined a decade of American popular music. Stay tuned for that. We're going to talk about a little new perspective on modes as opposed to scales. We're going to talk about fight choreography and ballet. Huh? What? Yeah, we're going to talk about fight choreography and ballet. We're going to talk about the Grammy nominations that were just announced, and my own dumb question of the week, which ties in with our virtual play-along song of the week. I do have a dumb question for you, and I can't wait to ask it because I'm curious about your answers. You ready to get started? Let's do this. Let's get right into our first WTF, weekly teaching feature, drones. There you go. Let's talk about drones, droning on and on and on. I am excited about sharing this with you. In a minute, I'm going to zoom in so it's easier to read. Drones. What do I mean by drones? We're going to talk about drones, drones on your guitar. When you play 2 strings at the same time, and on one string, you're changing the frets. On the other string, it's staying the same. So take a look. I'm going to zoom in on the top line there. And I'm using some terminology that kind of cracks me up. Sweet, edgy, dissonant. How's that? Is that big enough for you right there? Okay, so I'm gonna noodle around for a minute with some drones, and then we'll talk about what's on the screen. Cool sound. You've heard drones before, right? 2 strings at the same time. In this case, 1 string, your first skinny E string, is staying open the whole time. And it's your second string where something is changing. Okay, so there's the tab on the screen. Then there's the words I'm using to describe what's going on, including the names of the notes, but also this whole thing about a sweet kind of harmony, an edgy kind of harmony, and a dissonant kind of harmony. 2 strings at the same time, it's going to produce some kind of harmony unless what? The 2 notes you're playing are in unison. It's the same note. We'll get to that. Okay, so top of the page, you open E string and you open B string. That first measure up at the top of the page is going to sound something like this. Look, no hands. My fretting fingers are doing nothing. Open strings. I'm playing 2 open strings and then 1 and 2 and 1. I set it up that way intentionally just to give you a chance to hear the harmony that's happening, what I'm calling a sweet harmony, and then to remind yourself of which note is not ever going to change for the entire page. That's the open, skinny first string. Another sweet kind of harmony happens when you fret the second string, first fret. This is the second measure. By the way, I've almost got a C chord going on, because if you think about it, that index finger, second string, first fret, that's what you do for a C string, a C chord. And when you're strumming a C chord, you'd include the open first skinny E string, right? Again, a nice sweet little harmony. How about the third measure of line 1? Another sweet little harmony there. That 2 on the second string, that's a note that you'd be getting, say if you were playing an A major chord, in a way you're playing a little fragment of an A major chord right there. So the third measure sounds like this. And very quickly your ear hears a nice sweet little harmony right there. Take my word for it, it's sweet. Now, line 2. Now our drone is going to involve the third fret on the second string. Here's the first measure of line 2. It's got a little edge to it, right? A little edge. Now these harmonies, to some extent, the sound, it's in the eye of the beholder or the ear of the beholder. But what I can tell you that is that in general, the musical community in general agrees with me. For instance, what's coming up? The fourth fret on the second string combined with the open first string. That's a dissonant kind of sound, right? We're playing the open E string, obviously, and a D sharp on the second string. Okay, that's beyond just edgy. That's dissonant, right? And one more, and then we'll stop and regroup. The end of line 2, 5 on the second string combined with the open first string. Guess what? It's the same note. There's no longer any harmony. That's described as 2 notes that are in unison with each other, right? It's the same note. E on the open E string and E on the second string at the 5th fret, right? Okay, so questions so far, questions or comments. You can see I'm naming the notes. You know, the top of the page, the first combination was an E note and a B note. Second measure, an E note and a C note. Third measure, E and a C sharp. You're not obligated to memorize or analyze the names unless you'd like to, but don't worry if naming notes on the guitar is not your thing. Don't stress out about it. All of us, though, can recognize 2 notes that sound kind of good together and 2 notes that sound a little raw, right? Okay, so one reason we're doing this is because this is a sound you've heard before, but maybe you never knew how they did it. Another reason we're doing this is because this is a fun toy to play with. And I highly encourage you, if you've never done it before, to think very specifically about things you can do on the guitar. And this is a good example, which are the equivalent of getting a toy for your birthday. But instead of the toy being like a Lego set that is specifically designed to build a specific item in the Lego universe, you know, the Millennium Falcon or something like that. Imagine just a bunch of Legos. You make whatever you want. That's a healthy way to look at things like this page right here. Do whatever you want with this. Have fun with it. Not every project on the guitar has to be a specific famous song. You can have a lot of fun doing your own thing. And we're all kind of on a spectrum here. Some people, all they want to do is make up their own music. And some people, all they want to do is play famous songs. I get it. A lot of us fall somewhere in between, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm setting you up with a lot of options. You can see I'm going to scroll up here on the screen. We keep going higher and higher up the neck. Okay, I'm going to scroll. I think, yeah, that's everything. Okay. Okay, so where we left off, which is now at the top of the screen, 5 on the second string and the open E string. 6 on the second string with the open E string. Still, ooh, that's raw, right? So 7 on the open, 7 on the B string. That's still a little edgy. 8 on the B string. You know, it's an acquired taste. Of course, your ear can adjust to anything. Something that you thought sounded not so great a minute ago, you might, after strumming it 10, 20 times, you might kind of say, well, maybe. Okay, bottom of the screen, E with a G sharp. Now we're getting a sweeter kind of harmony. Do you agree? 10 on the B string. It's the note A. Sounds pretty good to my ear. 11, watch out. A little edgy again. Edgy, bordering on dissonant. What do you think? Is that dissonant? Is that no longer just edgy? Is it? That is 12. You're back to what I would consider to be a nice, sweet sound. By the way, 12 and 0 are the same. You could say we're ending where we started at the top of the page. We started with 0 and 0. Then we ended with 0 and 12. Remember, 12 is 0, right? You've gone one octave. The name of the note at the 12th fret is the same as the name of the open string, right? You guys know that. That's why we are graced with 2 beautiful dots at the 12th fret, as an acknowledgement that when you get to 12, you've come one full octave on the guitar. If you know the names of your strings, Eddie, 8, Dynamite, goodbye, Eddie, then you know the names of the notes at the 12th fret, right? Eddie, 8, Dynamite, goodbye, Eddie. All right, so. Now, we're not done with this yet. What you're looking at on this page, obviously I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. What you're looking at on this page is a whole bunch of options. And I'm choosing to focus on the 2 treble strings because personally, I think the human ear gravitates towards high sounds, and it's easier to compare and contrast 2 notes when they're relatively high pitches. That's why we're not doing this on the 2 bass strings on the guitar. Okay, so that's like a little worksheet, a little, wake-up call as to what drones are. Now, I hope you're sitting down because, I got you covered here. Ooh, with some riffs. We all want riffs, don't we? Sure we do. Okay, I know this is super big on the screen. Hopefully you guys at this point are used to me zooming in all of a sudden like this. I always worry that someone's going to fall over in their chair. Like the music is coming at your face. Okay, so I don't want to leave you with just a whole mess of Legos to play with. I want to give you a little bit of some suggestions what you can do with all those Legos, if you know what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking. I'm just going to play number 1, just the top line a few times. You could totally slide up and down the second string, right? This is prime for sliding. I'm using my middle finger on my fretting hand. I can foresee somebody, hopefully not you, leaning over with their fretting finger and actually deadening out, muting out the first skinny string. Try not to do that because then we'll lose the droning sound, right? Now, I call that the all-sweet riff because every one of those intervals, those droning intervals, to my ear, sound nice and sweet. Okay, number 2, I'm cracking myself up. The semi-sweet riff. Right? It has a little bit of personality in there. That 0-7 combination, adds a little edginess to it. Okay, so far we've covered the all-sweet riff. We've covered the semi-sweet riff. By the way, the PDF that you are looking at on screen is going to be available very soon on my website. So I hope you're a member of my website, and then you don't have to scramble to, copy this stuff down. Okay, number 3, the sweet and sour riff. It's not all sweet. It's not semi-sweet. Let's see what it sounds like. 5 to 10 to 8 to 7. Here we go. sweet and sour, right? Number 4, Sour Patch Kids. Okay, Halloween might be over, but the candy remains. Yeah, those are all getting a little funky, right? Okay, number 5. I think I'm so funny. Number 5, don't do it. Don't play number 5. Look at that. You think that's going to sound good? Don't play it. Don't do it. Should I? Should I do it? I work with a lot of young people who, you know, if I told them not to play something, that's a sure way of getting them to master it in time for the next lesson. If I say, don't play this riff. Anybody doing it? Number 5? Let us know in the chat. Let us know how you like it. Okay, pretty raw, right? Okay, for those of you who are listening and not playing, right? 2 times is enough. Now, why would anyone ever want to play such a nasty sounding thing as that? How about for like some weird movie soundtrack, right? Everything has its place in nature somewhere, right? Somewhere. And some soundtrack that is a great sound that we want. Okay, I'm going to zoom back out again here. There we go. So we covered, there we go. Okay, the all-sweet riff, the semi-sweet riff, the sweet and sour riff, the Sour Patch Kids, and don't play this riff. You know, a little bit rough, right? But again, hey, you know, if you build something with your Legos, if you don't like it, make something else, you know, break it up, make something else. Pretty interesting, right? Drones. So notice that I'm going to go back to the first page for a second here. Notice that I made a decision to focus on the 2 treble strings. And super important, I chose the drone sound to be the open E string, right? If the demand is there, I'll do a follow-up to this, and the drone will be the B string, and I'll, you know, outline what your options are on the skinny E string, and it would sound a little bit like this. I'm touching the first skinny E string, but I'm including the open B string. Ooh, I'm going to do all upstrokes. If I do all upstrokes, the skinny first string receives more of my energy. It's going to be a little bit louder. That's where the fretting is happening. But you don't need me. You can do that yourself, right? You can do that yourself. Again, 2 skinny strings, but what I just did there, I was just improvising on the first skinny string, right? That'll be Drones 102 someday, but you don't wait for me. You can do that. True S Armor, I'm reading the description that you're giving me there. None of them are going to have more of a screenshot. Interesting. So what I'm hoping, I'm reading your comment about making this easier to read. I'm hoping that just by zooming in like this, I'm hoping that the resolution is really good. And I accept that if I zoom out like that, I accept the resolution is not so great. Now, are you saying that I can make it so even at this zoomed out, narrow the sides, pull up the top? Let me see if I can do that. Yeah. Whoa. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, I'm going to have to look into what you're saying, but you sound, True S Armor, you sound very confident about how to make this look better. Here's what I say. Here's what I want to tell you. This is a PDF that you guys can get from my website and print it out. Yeah, I see a lot of room on the sides. Yep, you're right. So what I really want is you guys to head over to my website and print out your own copy of this, because we got to move on. We got to move on to other things. Okay, so again, I know a whole lot of you are right here at the start of the live stream. So I want to give you something to mess around with, a toy to play with right away. And I don't think we've ever done that before, a drone kind of exercise. By the way, I know a bunch of you, like me, were hearing Secret Agent Man, right? It's that droning. That droning first E string in between the fretted notes on the B string. So even though what you just saw on the screen was not literally, a transcription of Secret Agent Man, if Secret Agent Man came to mind, yeah, that's one example. You got it. By the way, I'm always going to remind you guys that being an adult pursuing the guitar, you have a huge advantage, which is this: you hear sounds and your brain starts connecting them with a memory, right? You give it value. You're like, oh, I learned this thing today that was extremely similar to Secret Agent Man, and all of a sudden it's more real, more memorable in your mind, and that's a huge advantage. So all the music you've listened to for your whole life, that was like an investment that is coming back to reward you when you play the guitar. I know it doesn't make your fingers faster, it doesn't make bar chords easier, but I believe strongly that it makes the experience richer, deeper. It motivates you to practice more. It makes things seem less of a mystery, right? Barry, hey, Barry has a great question. Don't forget, I'm here for your questions, you guys, so don't be shy. Barry put a question in the chat. Barry says, I know everyone thinks their hands are too big or too small. Yeah, it's true. But do you have any tips for fretting hand muting for guitarists with smaller hands? Yeah, Barry. So what you're talking about is, feeling like you can't quite get where you want to get. I'm illustrating this with a C major chord. If you feel like your fingers are too small, and when you try to reach and get where you want to go, you lean over and you touch other strings. Yeah. So do I have, other than practice, do I have any great tips? I'll tell you what comes to mind. Your thumb placement can have a huge effect, especially when something is not going well. Strongly consider moving your thumb anywhere other than where it was. In general, if stretching and reaching is a problem, if that's the specific problem someone's dealing with, moving your thumb so it's perpendicular to the neck. I often tell people it's like your thumb is pointing up towards the ceiling. That helps. That can sometimes immediately solve a problem. It certainly doesn't hurt. Another thing is, see how there's a space between my palm and the guitar? My fretting hand is not flush up against the guitar. I could put like a strawberry in the palm of my hand right there. I'm going to illustrate like this. That space right there, that can make a huge difference. It's just good technique. So Barry, some of the things that come to mind in addressing your question could be categorized as just good guitar technique that you might lose track of in your effort to get a certain chord or make a certain thing happen. Staying on the extreme tips of your fingertips, having nice short fingernails, those are things that we maybe don't remember or talk about often enough, but it's super significant. Here's another idea. If you're playing acoustic guitar, grab an electric guitar, go into a music store and try out an electric guitar, especially try doing the things on electric guitar that are making you crazy on acoustic guitar. If you're already playing electric guitar, well, just know that at least the guitar is almost certainly easier for small hands to wrap around than an acoustic guitar, and certainly easier than a classical nylon string. If you have a classical nylon string guitar, you are working with essentially the biggest neck and the widest fretboard. Doesn't mean you should trade it in, but just know that the nylon string classical guitar is makes your hand stretch the most. And a typical Fender Stratocaster, Squier, Telecaster, typically that's going to be the thinnest, smallest neck. Using relatively thin, light strings. I don't mean crazy light, but what are known as 12 gauge strings for acoustic or 9 gauge strings for electric. That's what I use myself, but it's also what I recommend for people. So there's some other things that come to mind, especially this time of year. When you sit down and play, take a minute, little self-massage. Just rub those fretting hand fingers, just get the blood flowing. Anything you can do to get that blood flowing a little extra into your fretting hand. You definitely don't want to start a practice session with whatever the hardest stuff is. Ease into it. Play some scales, play some arpeggios, do something with easy chords. You don't want to judge your progress by doing the hardest thing at the beginning of a practice session. Assuming you have a good 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour to practice, then to take 60 seconds out of that time and just rub your fretting hand, get the blood flowing. Great idea. Shake it out a little bit, and Barry, you certainly are right about something. Everybody thinks their hands are not ideal for the guitar. All my students, they are, to the extent that they talk about it, that's what they say. I've never had a student say, I think I was born with really good guitar hands. I've never had anyone say that. Even when to me, some with maybe long, slender fingers, I think, oh, what, perfect hands. I don't know. So Barry, those are some of the things that come to mind. The more you play, the more your fretting fingers get in shape, right? So that gets back to the practice. And try to, this is tricky without an actual teacher sitting right with you to help you, accept that some things are harder and some things are easier. And it's possible that someone who is good at an E minor chord and good at an A minor chord, they are extremely upset that they can't play an F chord, right? But it's like comparing apples and oranges. F chords are harder than E minors and A minors, right? Even though people like me put them all on the same page and say, here's the 16 chords you got to learn. That some things are just plain harder than others, and accept that those are going to take longer to master, Okay, Barry, hope those comments help you out a little bit. So let's talk about a few things. Let's bang out a few things, then we'll get back into playing. And stick around because we have a great virtual play-along song coming up in about, 25 minutes or so, give or take. I'm going to bang out a couple of quick things. Who's in town? If they're coming through my neck of the woods, they might be coming through your neck of the woods. Tonight, Greg Hawkes from the band The Cars is playing in town. Terrific blues guitar player Albert Cummings is coming through town, and some of that I'm not familiar with, but I'm going to do my research, and I'm going to post tomorrow. I'm going to post a link to a performance by this woman, Lindsay Webster, who's described as a jazz, rhythm, and blues and pop vocalist. She's coming through my town tomorrow. So Lindsay Webster. All three of these folks, I will put links to a YouTube video from them in the description of this live stream. Greg Hawkes, founding member of The Cars, Lindsay Webster, and blues guitar player Albert Cummings, all in my neighborhood over the next few days. So stay tuned for that. And if they're coming through my neighborhood, they'll be coming through your neighborhood. It's possible, right? Other things I want to get you hip to. Ooh, would you mind if I got you hip to Duke Levine? I've brought up his name before, and I'm bringing it up again because he's so cool. And he has a new album out. So a little category of our live stream I call Do You Know? I'm going to ask you, do you know Duke Levine? You're about to. Okay, check it out. On your screen, you may see the image of Duke Levine's website. I'm a big Duke Levine fan. I first came across his music on soundtracks to a bunch of cool movies. The filmmaker John Sayles, any John Sayles fans out there? Was it the Lone Star, the movie called Lone Star? I believe Duke Levine was involved in that soundtrack. Another one called Passion Fish. Anyways, and Duke Levine, great guitar player. If you saw Bonnie Raitt on tour, it's likely that you saw Duke Levine as her guitar player, kind of backing up Bonnie Raitt on stage. And he's played with a lot of terrific people, but I believe this summer he was on tour with Bonnie Raitt. And he has a new album out, so check this out. I just ordered a copy. You might say, what? You got a CD? I did get a CD. Okay, stand by. Can I do this right here? Let's see if my computer freaks out. Okay, Duke Levine and his friends have a new album out, and it's called Duke Levine's Super Sweet Sounds of the 70s. It is instrumental arrangements, I believe they're all instrumentals, of great 70s songs. You can see the set list, the song list on the screen there in front of you. Very cool stuff. I've sort of been following the making of this album, and it's so good. So you can see the CD is not cheap. $30. Some of you might say $30 for a CD. Holy moly. And yeah, that's a lot of money for a CD. If you think of it as supporting a really great bunch of musicians playing really great songs, that's, $30 barely gets you into a ticket to see a show for $30, right? So I ordered my copy, haven't got it yet. I'm probably going to end up listening to it on Spotify as opposed to listening to the actual CD. But you know what? It feels good to buy the CD to know that the band is getting something, right? So Duke Levine, I'm going to put a link to his website in the description of this live stream. But for those of you who stream music, however you listen to music online, I highly recommend all of his stuff. Super tasteful. Every once in a while, someone will say to me, what kind of music do you listen to? Or they'll say, like, what guitar players do you like? And that's one of the guys, man. I put on his stuff, and I, cook dinner, clean the kitchen. I don't know. Right now, Mrs. Songbike is saying, oh, really? Clean the kitchen, huh? Yeah, you do that, really? She's like, tell you what, how about we put on Duke Levine and you clean the kitchen tonight, Mr. Big Shot YouTuber. All right. Hey, Barry, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. Okay, so I want to share that with you. Duke Levine, new album out. Very cool stuff. Okay. Student quote of the week. I got 2 student quotes of the week. One of them snuck in just under the wire. One of my in-person students about earlier this afternoon, 3 or 4 hours ago. But 2 great student quotes of the week. I'm going to share them both with you right now. One student just rolled off his tongue this pearl of wisdom. He said, playing with the recording of the song gives you discipline. Yeah, man, playing with the recording gives you discipline. That's perfect. You learn a tune, you learn the chords, you learn the strumming, you learn the riff, whatever you're learning from the tune, you got to put on the actual song and try playing along with it, right? And discipline, right? They're not going to slow down for you. They're not going to, you got to, either you're doing it or you're not doing it. Doesn't matter how you think the song should go. So I really liked how one of my in-person students put that. Playing with the recording gives you discipline. Second student quote of the week. Today I was working with a student on the B7 chord, and he just said, that's a crowded workspace. And those of you who know your B7 chord, you might agree, right? 4 fingers on 4 different strings kind of squeezed in there. Yeah, B7 chord. So he described that as a crowded workspace. And I thought, yeah, man, that's a good way to describe it. You guys are asking for Duke Levine's genre. Hip, soulful, bluesy, country kind of stuff. The kind of guitar playing that Bonnie Raitt would want to have in her band to back up what Bonnie Raitt does. I have no doubt that he can play a wide variety of music, but country soul. I heard someone describe it as country soul music, Telecaster, single coil kind of sounds. Although I'm sure he has a variety of instruments and can do a lot of stuff. Hey, go on YouTube when the live stream's over. go to YouTube and listen to it. It's really, really pretty instrumental stuff, very tasteful. He does an instrumental version of that song at 17. Remember Janis Ian at 17? Great instrumental version of that. He does a great instrumental version of Across the Universe by the Beatles. That one might be on acoustic guitar. Very, very hip stuff. And is it his brother? His brother has a very hip guitar store in New Jersey. Let me do my homework on that. But I believe it's his brother who has a very, very cool guitar store with a lot of vintage, a lot of expensive vintage stuff. Let me make sure I'm getting that right. Okay. DAC Poet is asking, have I covered a Cars tune? I don't think we've ever done a Cars tune in our live stream, but that's a great idea, you know. True S Armor, the town I'm referring to where the people are on tour is the town of Old Saybrook, Connecticut. Old Saybrook, halfway between Boston, Massachusetts, and New York City, New York, halfway in between, right off of 95, exit 67. If you want to see a show in Old Saybrook, Connecticut, you're on I-95, exit 67 is the exit that'll get you very close to that theater. And that's what I'm referring to when I talk about people coming through this town to play shows. I'm talking about the Katharine Hepburn Cultural Center, known as the Kate. Katharine, Kate, get it? And they get a lot of great people coming through town. Okay, William Collier. William, I see your question. Yes, William is asking a great question. He says, a difficult question, I suspect, but a dilemma for me as an older learner. To what extent does the old adage, jack of all trades, master of none, apply to guitar styles and skills, etc.? Yeah, good question. And I'm, because I really enjoy teaching a variety of guitar styles and skills. Those of you who have taken lessons from me, you know, you kind of join me on this jack of all trades approach, whether whether you knew it or not. Yes, if you spread out your practice time, you know, 60 minutes, and you do 6 different things for 10 minutes each, it's a great way to fill up 60 minutes, but you'll get a little bit better at each of those 6 things. If you spent the whole hour on one thing, you'd imagine that you'd get significantly better at that one thing. So because the guitar is such a versatile instrument, and not only can it do a lot of things, I mean, the piano can do a lot of things, right? But because the guitar is so prominent in our world, we hear guitars doing all sorts of things. If you're like me, you kind of want to do a little bit of everything because it all sounds so good. So it is tricky to focus for many of us. It's tricky to focus on one thing and do that one style at the expense of everything else, because it feels like that's what it feels like, you know. So where I'm coming from philosophically as a teacher, I want you to keep your fretting hand moving. It's not that I don't care. I was always going to say, I don't care what you do. I do care what material you're working with. I do care. But if I've given you a bunch of material and you say, and people do this, they say, I got really into this one thing. I just did that all week. This one song, exercise, whatever. That's great. That's great. In fact, that's why I might give someone 10, 20, 30 different things, because I'm hoping that one thing will get you so hooked that you can't stop doing it, you know. But I do lay awake at night, sort of metaphorically. I lay awake at night, and I think, well, yeah, it's hard to master something if it's one of 7 things that you're practicing. I get that. But I do feel so strongly that if you keep your fretting fingers moving, doing anything, especially things that are slightly challenging, right? You're moving in the right direction. And I sometimes, I very often follow a student's lead. If a student is really getting into blues guitar, well, then let's keep doing blues guitar. We can do blues guitar exercises, blues guitar chords, blues licks, blues solos, blues jamming back and forth, right? I'm good with that. That's great, you know. I believe it or not, I have some students who really like playing scales, so I make sure they have a variety of scales to practice, you know. So, William, your exact question though is the jack of all trades, master of none. Does it apply to someone who plays a lot of stuff? Yeah, it kind of does. It's not a bad thing. Put it this way: whatever keeps you going on the guitar. If I had a student, I call him like an at-risk student, and it's usually a younger kid, because adults typically can communicate with words, and kids don't always do that quite as well. If I have a kid who's at risk, meaning they really don't seem to be digging the guitar, we got to find something to keep them going. My whole goal is to have the person playing a year down the road, 2 years down the road, playing anything, that the style is the least important concern of mine, you know? So whatever keeps you going. If you can sit for an hour and play one piece for an hour and work at it and you're okay with that, great. You're going to get really good at that piece. If you play for 5, 10, 15 minutes on one thing and your brain just says, I need something else, to me, that sounds pretty normal. And my job is to make sure you have that something else, you know. But yeah, long story short, if you're doing 10 different things, you're going to get a little bit better each. And the more you focus your practice time, the better you're going to get those individual items. So to recap, make yourself happy. Do what makes you happy, you know. Play every day. Get those fingers moving every day. When you need something new to do, ask, you know, whether it's joining in this live stream and seeing whatever I'm presenting on this live stream, or hey, go book shopping, talk to a friend, watch YouTube videos, whatever. Find something to keep you going. The last thing you want to do is let your enthusiasm wane, right? You know. DAC Poet asks, do you have some helpful tips for memorizing a classical guitar piece? Well, the same tips for memorizing anything. Find some sort of audio of someone doing the original thing and listen to it a lot. You know, listening to the piece counts as practicing, right? So assume that you're doing something that someone else has recorded somewhere on the planet. Try to find a recording of it to get it stuck in your head. You might have it already in your head, but that's one tip for sure. Keep your eyes open for repetitive parts. You know, in general, music repeats. You know, it gets stuck in our head. It might be every measure repeats. It might be every 4 measures, every 8, 16. It might be a long time before something comes around. But if it's not obvious where things repeat, or even if it is, I would also say look for patterns. You got to find the patterns. Music is full of patterns, and you got to look for those patterns. You know, play and then close your eyes and try to play it again. Even if you're doing a small phrase. In fact, I recommend playing a small phrase a few times and then look away from the paper, look at your hands, look anywhere, but see if you have that phrase memorized. Those are some of the things. Record yourself doing it, you know, so you can listen back to yourself doing it. Depending how ambitious you are, you might have to, you know, rein yourself in. If it's a 3-page epic classical solo, you might have to do, you know, 1 page at a time, memorize 1 page at a time, memorize half a page at a time. You know, it depends how ambitious you are. That's a great question. Scott Rhodes has a question. Scott says, would leaving Martin leather headstock ties attached to my Martin guitar mess up the finish? Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Anything that rests against your guitar constantly could have a, you know, it could react with the chemical finish on the guitar. At least I know I know I know what I don't know. So my instinct is to be concerned about stuff like that. Yeah. Um, unless unless someone tells you, someone gives you scientific proof otherwise, I get concerned about stuff like that. So I would, if possible, I would, well, either don't leave them on there, um, or accept that your guitar is going to have evidence that you played it. It's your guitar. It's not the worst thing. We've all seen guitars with all sorts of stuff. Like if you've checked out used guitars, all sorts of classic marks. How about the burn mark in the headstock where someone put their cigarette and left a burning cigarette there while they played? I mean, a lot of guitars in the 60s and 70s have a black burn mark right there. How about belt buckle wear from people who play standing up and their belt buckle rubs against the back of the guitar? Yeah, classic. So yeah, so I would, you're right to be concerned, and I would not let stuff touch the guitar on a constant basis, unless someone with a scientific background tells me not to worry, and or Martin tells me not to worry. Hey, if they've already been on for a long time and nothing has gone wrong yet, well, there's a little bit of proof right there. But you're right to be concerned, I think. Okay, I'm reading what you guys are saying. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, the lived-in look, right? True S Armor says, let the guitar get a lived-in look. We're all different, right? We're all different. Same way we are with our homes and our cars and our clothes and our haircuts and all that kind of stuff, right? We're all different. And the one way it can come back to bite you is if you go to sell the instrument or trade it in. And that's when you find out the rest of the world is not charmed by whatever happened while you own the guitar, right? It's possible that there's people looking at your guitar say, ooh, what happened there, then again, if you have absolutely no intention of selling it and you're doing what makes you happy, then yeah, makes you happy, man. Do it. Okay. How about well, a little teaser, my own dumb question of the week. And this will lead into our virtual play along song coming up in a minute. My dumb question, I ask it so you don't have to, kind of an oddball question this week, but it'll make more sense in a minute. Can an American write an Irish folk song? I mean, it's a weird question, right? It's a weird question. Can it be done? Is it done? Do we want it to be done? Can an American write an Irish folk song? I'm a big fan of traditional Irish music. They certainly don't need Americans to contribute to their repertoire. Can an American write an Irish folk song? That's a dumb question. Who cares? I know. Only I mean, it's my own little thing. But can they? I don't know. True S. Armor says, why not? Why not? Sure, why not? Right? So what am I talking about? Well, don't go anywhere. Let me close down a couple windows. We are about to do our virtual play along song of the night, and it'll make more sense in a minute. What am I looking for? I'm looking for alphabetically. There it is. There it is. There it is. Okay. Make this smaller. Our play along song of the night, from the pen of songwriter Steve Earle. There we go. Bada boom, bada boom. The reason we'll be demonetized, or the reason I'll be profit sharing this week, is The Galway Girl by Steve Earle. Let me know in the chat if you know this tune. I am under the impression this tune is extremely popular. And it was a little bit new to me, I have to say, a little bit new to me. But as I did a deep dive in this song, I became aware that this tune has a huge following, and it's extremely popular in certain circles. The Galway Girl by Steve Earle. I'm going to present it to you two ways. This is the portion of the live stream where I walk you through the tune, and we're going to actually all play it together momentarily. Anybody know this tune? Let me know in the chat if you guys know this tune, because I'm very curious, because apparently it's a super popular tune. So Steve Earle from the US, and this song, to my understanding, has entered the Irish repertoire, although it was written by an American. Okay, so Bob A says, yes, I do know this tune. Excellent. Okay, but I'm curious if anyone else knows this tune. What do you need for this song? You need D as in Delta, G, Golf, A, Alpha, B minor. That's B as in Bravo, B minor. And I believe it's just those 4 chords. No capo for once, no capo necessary. For a few of you, it might be the B minor that is the sticking point in this song, which I totally understand. Guess what? The G chord, play it however you want to play G. Just knock yourself out. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. There's more than one way to play a G chord. Guess what? This is picker's choice. Play G however you want tonight. Okay. Now, just so you know, what you're looking at there, I'm going to put that on my website when our live stream is over. I'm also going to put this on the website. Look at that. Ooh, different way of looking at the tune. I might put in a couple of lyrics. Okay, so what are we looking at here? That's how the song goes. This is how the song goes from a guitar player's point of view. Yeah, in hindsight, I probably could have put in a couple of select lyrics just to sort of guide you. But scrolling up again, that's what a singer wants to know. The singer wants to know the words. And secondarily, the singer and all of us can see where the chord changes happen. Okay. If you're singing the tune, that's exactly what you want. You want the words, right? You know, if you basically know how the song goes, that what you're looking at right there is not a bad idea. We're going to give it a boom, chick kind of strum. I'll talk more about that in a minute. And there's the chord changes. And for some of you, that's all you need right there, especially if you already kind of know the tune. For those of you who don't know the tune, that's not super helpful information, right? You're going to have to listen to the words. You're going to have to scramble to grab the chord right when you hear me say a certain word. It's not ideal. Those of you who don't know the tune, now believe me, I wish this did not look like the crazy alphabet from hell. But those of you who don't know the tune, this is kind of a more logical way to look at the tune. Although I know there's an incredible number of alphabet letters on that page. Don't blame me, blame Steve Earle. And the reason I feel comfortable saying this is all his fault. Verse 1 didn't have to be different chords than verse 2 and verse 3. That's really a pain. And the interlude did not have to be different than other sections of the song. And the second half of the chorus, is the second half different? No, the second half, yes, the second half of the chorus is different than the first half of the chorus, and that is directly his fault. Don't blame me. If he didn't do any of those things, it would change the tune a tiny bit. It would change that piece of paper a lot. Okay, so both of those PDFs that you're looking at, both of those are going to be on my website after this live stream is over. Okay, now I can't wait to get to playing it, but I do want to guide you through what's going on there. Bear with me for a second. I'm actually gonna switch guitars for this. And hold on. Tangled up in blue. All right. This song is gonna sound better on acoustic guitar. Where's I got here? Okay. Boom, chick, strum. Boom, chick, boom, chick. So what's the boom, chick, strum? You know the boom, chick, strum. I'm grabbing my D chord. D is in Delta. You hit a bass note, and then you strum the skinny strings. All down strokes. Boom, chick, boom, chick. Okay? During the D chord, I'm hitting the D string. During the G chord, I'm hitting the fat 6th string. During the A chord, take a wild guess, the open A string, the 5th string. The B minor, now here's where it gets kind of tricky. It depends how you do B minor, but the principle holds true. However you do B minor, pluck the fattest string that's available to you, and then strum the rest of the chord. Nobody wishes more than I wish that this song did not have a B minor in it. Oh well, Oh, well, in case you're not comfortable with the B minor, it's time to step up, man. Little tough love. Time to get your B minor in working order. What you are going to see me do is my personal favorite B minor. It is not a bar chord. I know from a distance it looks like I'm doing a bar chord. I am not. I'm arching over my index finger, and I'm only putting pressure on the 5th string, 2nd fret. My middle ring and pinky are where they would be if it was a bar chord. Middle finger, 2nd string, 3rd fret. Pinky, 3rd string, 4th fret. Ring finger, 4th string, 4th fret. I'm intentionally letting my skin of my index finger mute out the skinny 1st string. I don't want to deal with it. So you may see me doing B minor that way, in which case I'm hitting the 5th string first and then answering back with the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. The B minor, here's the good news. It never lasts too long. You could just strum, however you do B minor, you could just strum it once. Hair was black and her eyes were blue. I'm looking at the 4th line of the lyrics, because her hair was black and her eyes were blue. You could strum the B minor once, the A once, the G once, like this. Hair was black. Oops. Hair was black and her eyes were blue. And on blue, you could get back into the boom chick, boom chick. RB says B minor is one of the easier bar chords. RB, I like your attitude. Tell everybody, spread the word. But like I said, if I wish B minor wasn't there, it'd make my job easier. But if I can do it, you can do it. Okay. So your strum pattern, boom chick, boom chick, boom chick, is the strum pattern I highly recommend. What else? I'm going to play it slower than the actual song, because why not? We're not in a rush, but it has a nice up-tempo kind of bop to it. Someone's version of it, Shannon's version of it, someone's version of it is slightly out of tune. And by that, I mean, it sounds to me like the recording was either sped up or slowed down. So even though your guitar might be perfectly in tune, it's going to sound slightly out of tune, just a little tiny bit with the recording. So if what I'm doing here is based directly on Steve Earle's version. If you play along with other versions, many other versions are in this key with these chords, but just watch out. I'm sorry, I don't remember whose version it was. There's a lot of versions of this out there. Okay. So at the moment, since I can only present one thing on the screen, I'm going to leave this one on the screen right there. But I understand that until you really get to know a song, the information as presented on the screen right there is less than ideal, right? It's less than ideal. But we got to make our choices, right? Looks like I'm drinking a cup of coffee. It's a coffee cup full of apple cider. Yeah, okay. You guys know my little routine. Okay, so what do you think? Can we bang this out? I think we kind of can. Last thing I'm going to say before we get started, there are very cool instrumental interludes in the actual recording. Pretty much anybody who does it, they do these nice little interludes where you hear some beautiful soloing on traditional Irish instruments. See this other PDF, this version right here? See where it says INT? Those are the chord changes for the interlude, which sadly are slightly different than the chord changes anywhere else in the song. It's okay. It's all right. I don't mind writing out those letters, but that's just, that's why it looks like there's so many different things going on in this song. Because if you make little changes, then you have to document those changes, and that's what it ends up looking like. Okay. So both of these pages, though, will be on my website. At the end of this live stream, I'll upload them, and then you can decide which one works for you. I feel like I should include both of those. Okay, so we're going to start in a second. Let me make sure I'm where I need to be. Any last minute questions before we start here? Anybody else? I know Bob is familiar with this tune. Anybody else know this tune? You're about to learn it. That looks pretty good. All right, let's do it. I'll give you a couple strums on the D major chord, a couple of boom chicks on the D major chord to get us started, and then we're off to the races, man. I'll see you on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. I took a stroll on the old long walk of a day. I met a little girl and we stopped to talk on a fine soft day. And I asked you, friend, what's a fella to do? 'Cause her hair was black and her eyes were blue. And I knew right then I'd be taking the world round the Salt Hill Prom with a Galway girl. We were halfway there when the rain came down on the day. She asked me up to a flat downtown on a fine soft day. And I ask you, friend, what's a fella to do? 'Cause her hair was black and her eyes were blue. So I took her hand and I gave her a twirl, and I lost my heart to a Galway girl. When I woke up, I was all alone, with a broken heart and a ticket home. And I ask her now, what would you do if her hair was black and her eyes were blue? 'Cause I traveled around, been all over the world. I had never seen nothing like a Galway girl. I had never seen nothing like a Galway girl. All right, so how'd you do? Notice I repeated the bottom line at the end, because why not? You know, it's a great way to end it. It's not what Steve Earle does, but why not? When in doubt, repeat the last line, sure. Hey, and you know, anytime a song ends on a D major chord, nice way to end it, right? I strum the D chord with my middle finger up in the air. How rude. And then I hammer down firmly, my middle finger, first string, second fret, essentially putting it back where it was, right? Just a nice way to end any song with the last chord as a D chord. Okay, what I left out there was those interlude sections. I know the B minor to A to G, those things, they go by fast, right? I know. Here's how you could fake it till you make it. When you get to those sections, B minor to A to G, this is temporary. I don't want the guitar police to accuse me of, you know, anything. Play the note B, the note A, and the note G. I know the G chord is not a hard chord, but just to continue the pattern, it would sound like this. I'm gonna take a look at just the first chorus of the song, and I ask you, friend, what's a fella to do? Here it comes. 'Cause her hair was black and her eyes were blue. It's not the worst sound. Her hair was black and her eyes were blue. Now, if you're going to do that, you got to do it with confidence, conviction, as if you wrote the song, and the song goes boom, 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 boom. Okay? So there's no time to be shy. So again, what did I do? I played the 5th string, 2nd fret with my index finger. That's the note B. I'm doing that instead of the B minor chord, okay? the next thing, the open A string, I'm doing that instead of the A chord. Next, 6th string, 3rd fret. That's the note G. I'm doing that instead of the G chord. Again, I know G is not a difficult chord, but it makes a nice run, right? And then as soon as I finish that G note on the 6th string, I return to the D chord and I return to that nice boom boom chick thing, right? So hey, it's a workaround, you know, and it doesn't sound half bad, right? You're playing the root note. For a moment, you're acting like a bass player. I don't know. So there's a workaround. My friends, if you have one takeaway from this live stream, this is number 117, there's always a workaround. Always a workaround, you know? Sometimes it's the permanent workaround. Sometimes it's a temporary workaround. And I would call this one a temporary one. Although, you know what? It doesn't sound bad. It just doesn't, you know? But yes, the teacher in me wants you to know that, yes, you should master the B minor chord, you master bar chords, all that stuff. Yes. But it's a good workaround. All right, there you go. Galway Girl by Steve Earle. Lots of other versions of this song out there. Quite a few of them use the exact same chords. And quite a few of them basically follow that format right there. Okay. There you go. Another play-along song in the books. We began this whole play-along thing around live stream number 20, 22, 23. I'll tell you in a minute. And we've done an awful lot. So at this point, hold on a second. Wow, look at all those. I haven't absolutely updated the list. But 20. Okay, so on live stream number 20, we started doing this, and we've basically done at least one, sometimes more than one, every live stream. And this is number 117. That's a lot of play-along songs, man. If you would like a list of the songs we've done and the live stream where we did that song, send me an email. Ready? info@song-bike.com. info@song-bike.com. And that's where you will, and I'm happy to send you a list. But I'm also I can put it on the screen right now too. Hold on, don't go anywhere. How can I make this easy to read? This is not the absolute updated list. Hold on. Okay, but this will whet your appetite. Where'd it go? I don't want that. Want that? Okay. Here is, that's the one. Okay, and I'm going to try to make this. I know that's super small. I know. Don't yell at me. I know it's small. A little bit better. I'm going to scroll. I'm going to make it big, but then I'm going to scroll. Okay. All right. So a little bit easier to read. Okay, look at that. Some favorites. Many of you were here for many of these songs, right? That's what. That's it's probably close to 100 songs. Okay, I'm going to scroll a little bit. I'm very proud of this list. In fact, I could not be prouder of that list of songs. Oh, and again, there's a few that we've done recently that are not on this exact list. I just haven't updated the list. There's probably half a dozen. Look at all those. Holy moly. I mean, in no particular order, I'm seeing everything from Neil Young, the Monkees, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Oh, man. Look at that. Rumble, Marshall Tucker Band, J.J. Cale, Pink Floyd, The Band, John Prine. Oh, man, so much good stuff. So much good stuff. Okay, thank you for indulging me. Okay, I'm happy to send you a list. In fact, if even just one of you asks for that list, that would be my reminder to update it with the last 4 or 5 songs that we've done. So send me an email at info@song-bike.com. song-bike.com, and it's easy for me to send that to you. I should find a way to make that list available so anybody can see it at any time. I'll figure out how to do that. Okay, how's everybody doing? You having a good Saturday so far? I hope you're having a great Saturday. Anybody have big plans tomorrow? It's raining here tomorrow, so I just can't do any yard work. It's not going to work out. It's how it goes. What we have left in this live stream, plenty. We still haven't talked about the chord that defined a decade. So that's going to be coming up real soon. Don't go anywhere. I was looking out the window today, and it's kind of a gray November day. And I thought of this lyric, which I've kept in my mind for decades. The kind of gray November day that washes away reflections in the eyes of hotel porters. And the latticed wooden benches by the sea contain no travelers or Irish lady authors. How do I remember this? Anybody recognize that lyric? One of my favorite singer-songwriters. I'll say it again. The kind of gray November day that washes away reflections in the eyes of hotel porters, and the latticed wooden benches by the sea contain no travelers or Irish lady authors. Who wrote that lyric? Anybody? Anybody? I will not keep you in suspense. Why do I have that lyric in my head? Because it's a great song. It's a great artist, a great album, and I've had that lyric floating around my brain for 40 plus years. And today was a gray November day. If you know who I'm talking about, put it in the chat. Okay. What we still have to do this week, tonight, I want to show you about Guitar Center's, Guitar Center's. Don't call him Weird Al, M. Fish. It's not Weird Al. It's the not Weird Al. I want to talk to you about Guitar Center's repair prices. I want to tell you about ballet and fight choreography. Oh, we got a lot to do. Oh, I have a note, and my note says, push the Christmas book. Christmas is coming. Get the book. All right. You don't want to wait to the last minute and be like, oh, I really should have learned a couple of Christmas songs. Those of you who celebrate Christmas, just get the book, get it now, and then start practicing. You won't regret it. I'll bug you about it as the holiday gets closer. Christmas, how do you get this book? It's an electronic book. You get the PDF delivered to your inbox instantly. Head over to song-bike.com. You'll see where you can order stuff. You buy the book, and it shows up as a PDF. It does not come as a hard copy book. It's too expensive to print and ship. It comes as a PDF. You'll love it. Okay, I can check that thing off my list. For those of you who celebrate. Grammy nominations were just announced. The Grammys themselves aren't until early February 1st, I think. But that won't stop me from talking about it from now until then. A lot of interesting people nominated for Grammys. I can't wait to share them with you. People who I'm not talking about Lady Gaga, not talking about Sabrina Carpenter, Bruno Mars, very talented people. I'm talking about the people whose names don't get the attention. And there's a lot of them in all the different categories that aren't the pop kind of categories. So I can't wait to be talking to you every week between now and the Grammys themselves. I'll turn you on to a couple of people who I think are great, especially the people who are new to me, because this is how I learn about a lot of these folks as well. People who get nominated for a Grammy in a certain category, I think, ooh, I don't know them. So nobody, Al Stewart, I think the song is called Girl in the Raincoat. That's where that lyric came from. I love Al Stewart. Okay. Check. Okay. So yeah, Grammy, stay tuned. We're going to talk a little bit every live stream about some of the very talented people who might not be household names. Trust me, they're not household names, but they're so talented. And it's a great way to hear about music, hear about musicians you might never have heard of before. Okay. Ballet. Mrs. Songbike and I are watching a very cool series called Étoile. And it's about two ballet companies, long story short. And it's a very cool series. I recommend it. Étoile, the French word for star. At one moment in the series, the dance instructor instructs the people doing the dance, says, okay, now let's run through it at half speed. And my little head exploded. Dancers, intentionally do stuff at half speed to dance at half speed, but that's what musicians do. Well, if dancers do it, then doesn't that sort of add even more validation to the fact that we all should be playing things at half speed? I mean, dancing at half speed, that kind of blows my mind. How do you dance at half speed? If you're a pro, you can dance at half speed, right? If you're a pro, you can play the song you're working on. You can do that at half speed. So, I can't stop thinking about, teaching. So I said to Mrs. Songbike, I said, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's like, telling a musician to play something half speed." And she said, Mrs. Songbike said, "Oh, it's the same as fight choreography. Any fight choreography people out there?" And I thought, wow, that makes so much sense. Like you're working out some fight scene for a play, a movie. You're going to work it out at half speed, right? Of course you are. It only makes sense, right? So the AC Poet is asking, is that show on PBS? No, but I'm going to defer to Mrs. Songbike about when Music Fan 1004. She controls the remote, and I immediately forget what network we just saw it on, but it's easy to see. So she might be able to clue us in on what we're actually watching. Amazon is how you can see the series called Étoile. So anyways, so what we're talking about is ballet, fight choreography, and you practice things slowly, do it slowly, prove that you know it so well, right? And next time you see a dance sequence, next time you see a fight sequence in a movie, it might just occur to you that they probably rehearsed it at half speed, right? Probably. Hey, tomorrow, Music Fan is reminding me, tomorrow our plan is to see the new Bruce Springsteen movie. It's gonna be a rainy day around here, so knock on wood, that's our plan. And any of you all seen that movie yet? I'm looking forward to it. I like the Bob Dylan movie more than I thought I would, and so I'm carrying that positive attitude into the Springsteen movie. So we'll see. But let us know in the chat if you saw the Springsteen movie recently and what your feelings were. I'm very curious. Beginner Guitar Lessons is joining us. Beginner Guitar Lessons is here moderating, and Beginner Guitar Lessons is saying smash the like button, everybody. And I thank you for that. Our moderators are Beginner Guitar Lessons and Music Fan. That's why their names are blue. But you guys barely did any moderating, right? You guys are so nice. You're so nice out there. Guitar Center and their prices. What am I talking about? Okay, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I was in a Guitar Center recently, and I was struck by something they had on the wall in the entrance. As soon as you walk in, they had this on the wall, this thing right there. Okay, here it comes. And like I always say, if your screen goes black, give it a minute. Give it a minute. Okay, what are you looking at? As soon as you walk into my local Guitar Center, this was on the wall, which I don't spend much time in Guitar Center. I don't look to Guitar Center to satisfy my needs. But it doesn't mean that I can't be interested in how they present themselves. I thought it was very interesting how as soon as you walk in, they're telling you what they charge for stuff, and what struck me is, well, first of all, I want to share this with you because, we talk a lot on this live stream about getting your guitar repaired or getting a setup done or maintaining your guitar. And those of you who might not do that very often or have never done anything like that on your guitar, you might get a kick out of seeing what the prices are, at least the prices up here in New England for certain services. So a couple of things that struck me are the restring, $25, the restring. I'm going to guess that does not include the cost of the strings. And the reason why the fine print there says starting at $25, there are guitars out there that are a pain in the butt to restring. But anyways, that gives you a ballpark figure. If you want Guitar Center to change your strings for you, plan on giving them $25, and I'm guessing you got to pay for the strings as well. Another thing that struck me is what they're calling the Platinum Setup, starting at $90. I have no idea what the word platinum means. Either they're setting up a guitar or they're not setting up a guitar, but from a marketing point of view, I can see why the word platinum is a great word to put in there. Who doesn't want a platinum setup, man? Anyways, $90 to set up your guitar. That sounds about right. In fact, all these prices sound about right, although they're building themselves in a big, a lot of wiggle room by saying the prices start at, what caught my attention was the nut fabrication. What are they talking about? They're talking about if they have to actually make a new nut for your instrument. What's the nut? The nut's that thing I'm pointing to right there. Typically, it's a white piece, right where your strings leave the neck of the guitar and head over to the headstock and the tuners. A few of you might have a black one. A few of you might have one that's made out of metal of some kind, but bone or plastic that looks like bone or some sort of synthetic material that's white, that's pretty common. So the fact that to make one, the price starts at $140, I was a little bit surprised. There is a little bit of artistry that goes into it, but it really is, a piece that it gets fitted into your guitar and sanded and smooth, and the grooves are cut. You gotta know what you're doing. But I was a little bit surprised that the prices started at $140. So I checked with my friend who is a full-time guitar tech, and I think he said he usually charges about $100. So I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. That Guitar Center is, hey, at least they're making it clear right from the start. You walk in, and that's what you see there. So anyways, I want to share that with you, just to show you where the decimal points are. The decimal point for nut fabrication. It has 3 numbers on one side and 2 numbers on the other side. That's a lot of money, man. I'm trying not to make a note about, I'm trying not to make any jokes, but now you know how much stuff costs. There you go. I just want to share that with you, and I'm going to stop sharing in a minute. Okay, boom, stop sharing. There we go. Okay, I'm going to check that off the list. DAC Poet says pricey. Yeah, it is. It is. Although after I checked with my guitar tech friend, around here, that's about the price. I mean, it's more expensive than I thought it would be, but that's just because I'm living in the past, I guess. Anyways, that's why I'm sharing it with you guys. So it's a little wake-up call. It doesn't mean that those are going to be the exact prices at every guitar center. I have no idea. Doesn't mean that's what the guitar techs charge in your neighborhood. I have no idea. But now you have a little bit of information to work with. Okay, checking it off. I can't wait any longer. Oh, don't forget to vote in our poll. Apparently, I can wait a little bit longer. Don't forget to vote in our poll. The poll question is, do you play guitar to impress people? Very personal question. And remember, I cannot see who voted and how they voted. A lot of people have voted, but I can't, I don't know how people voted. So the choices, do you play to impress people? The choices include a little bit, but it's not my top priority, right? Which I understand that. Another choice is no, I play for my own benefit. And another choice is I really want to impress people. And of course, other. And so far in the lead, 68% have said no, I'm not doing this to impress people. I play for my own benefit. In second place, a very reasonable answer, I suppose. 24% say, well, a little bit. I want to impress people a little bit, but it's not my top priority. 4% admit they really want to impress people. And that's, hey, you know what? Good. That can be very motivating, right? Very motivating. You want, practice and get good, impress people. And 4% fall in the other category. And especially if you're in the other category, even though I know some of you cannot see the screen at the moment. I know. Can you hear me though? If you can hear me, let me know in the chat. Because we're going to be talking about this sound. The sound of the major 7. All right, excellent. See, it all works out. The whole point is to look at the paper anyways. Okay, major 7 chords. What am I talking about? The sound, the chord that defined a decade. Heck yeah. And I have the proof. Okay, there was a time when major seventh chords entered mainstream pop music in a big way. And that time, my friends, was the 1970s. And I'm going to give you an example in a second here. Okay, we're talking about the music of America. And when I say America, I mean the band America. The popularity, the success of the band known as America, and their use of major seven chords, not in every song, right? Not in every song, but in quite a few of their songs. To me, in my humble opinion, the major seven chord, in part due to the band America and their variety of their hit songs, that sound, I should say, that sound is the 70s sound. Now, I was alive in the 70s, barely. Yeah, so I know there's a variety of music in the 70s. But in terms of a chord, a sound, that certainly sends you back to the 1970s. Oh yeah, the major seven chord. Are you kidding me? That's the one. Hey, I would love it if Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, you name it, Ed Sheeran, if they leaned into those major seven chords and built songs around, songs that are very focused on major seven chords, that would be great. It'd be hilarious. And maybe they have, and I just haven't heard them. It'd be a throwback kind of sound, and done on acoustic guitar, done on 12-string acoustic guitars. How about an Ovation with a bowl back? Oh man. Okay, so I am here to tell you that the major seven chord pretty much is the defining chord of the 1970s. Changed my mind. Let's talk a little bit about playing them and about the music theory. In terms of playing them, I put 5 on the screen. I chose those 5. They're in alphabetical order, in case you didn't notice. I chose those 5 chords because they're kind of easy in the grand scheme of things. I would say the easiest might be the C major 7, because the C major 7 is just a C chord with one of your fingers off, So if you want to start on any chord, I would start with that C major 7. According to my America songbook, C major 7 is one of the main chords of Tin Man by America. So great. Okay. A major 7. It's like a little triangular shape. True S Armor, you're noticing my one typo. I think I made one typo on the page, and that was the C major 7 chord does indeed include the open G string. I just forgot that one little extra O right there. So yes, do definitely a C major chord include 5 of the 6 strings for sure. If you, for whatever reason, you want to write a song with a 70s vibe, include as many major 7 chords as possible. Of course, you can use regular minor and major chords. America did that as well. It's not like they only wrote songs with major 7 chords, and I'm using Tin Man as an example. D major 7. Let's move on to D major 7. 3 strings, 2nd fret. Plus the open D string. What a pretty sound. F major 7, guess what? That's your new best friend. If you've never played F major 7 before, there it is right there. It's the easy version of F. But it doesn't always work as a substitution for F because of that open first string. It has that beautiful, dreamy major 7 chord sound which doesn't fit every song by any means. If a song asks for a regular F, real F major, you can't always substitute this chord instead. But no, sometimes. And if it's your own personal song, then use it to your heart's content. And lastly, the G major 7. I associate that chord with Here Comes the Sun, but the G major 7 definitely, according to my songbook here, it's definitely part of Tin Man. So I'm going to have to sing this kind of low. G major 7, sometimes late when things are real and people share the gift of gap between themselves. What I'm essentially doing is I'm doing G major 7 to C major 7. G major 7 for 4 counts, and then C major 7 for 4 counts. G major 7, 4 counts over to C. Imagine someone joining the live stream at this moment and all they're hearing is some dude going, G major 7, 4 counts, C major 7. If you're joining us for the first time, this is exactly what happens every live stream. I sing in falsetto and we stare at a white piece of paper on the screen. And yeah, every live stream, 2 hours straight, every Saturday. Welcome. If you are joining us for the first time, whether you're joining us live or you're watching this in the future, thank you for watching this live stream. And those of you who are regulars, thank you for being here as well. Okay, so some of you may be very familiar with those major 7s, or you might be familiar with 1 or 2, but hopefully there's a few in there that you have not played before. The G major 7 is kind of the most awkward physically, I feel. Okay, so let's talk about the music theory. What is the music theory? Where does the name even come from, major 7? Well, I thought you'd never ask. A good question like that begins with the major scale. And I chose the C major scale to illustrate what we're about to talk about, because everybody always chooses the C major scale to illustrate anything whenever you need a scale. Okay, so what you're seeing there, the C major scale is that series of letters C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, the C major scale, it just looks so friendly because it looks like the alphabet in alphabetical order, right? Okay, the definition of a major 7 chord is you extract the first note of the major scale, the 3rd note, the 5th note, and not surprisingly, the 7th note. And if you take the 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 7th notes and only those 4 notes and play those 4 notes, you get these dreamy major 7 sounds. That's the word I use. Is it a melancholy sound? Sure. Is it a your summer afternoon, you're watching the clouds go by? Is it that sound? Sure. But to return to the point here, it is definitely the sound of 70s music, specifically 70s guitar, specifically 70s acoustic guitar. And I'm using good old America as an example of a band that wrote a number of songs, hit songs, using major 7 chords. And the one I'm specifically talking about at this moment is the song called Tin Man, because the whole beginning of the song is literally, well, according to this songbook here, don't yell at me if you need a capo or something. According to this songbook I'm looking at right here, it's G major 7 and C major 7 back and forth. Maybe we'll do this song as a play along song sometime, because why not? I'm sure we got a few America fans out there, right? So now you know some new chords to play around with, hopefully, and you know the music theory behind these chords. Long story short, every chord follows a formula, and the formula for major 7 chords is right there in front of you. It's the 1, 3, 5, 7. So it's 4 notes from whatever the relevant major scale is. If we're talking about C major 7, then we're talking about we're referring to the C major scale. Okay, here's a question. I'll ask it because I bet at least one of you out there is thinking it already. If you only need 4 notes to make a major 7 chord, then why are we strumming 5 strings in some cases here? Why are we strumming 6 strings, like in the case of the G major 7? It's a great question, because you only need 4. So let's use G major 7 as an example. You could completely ignore the 2 fat bass strings on the G major 7 and just play skinny first string, second fret, open second string, open third string, open fourth string. And you will be giving the world a G major 7 chords. Those 2 notes on the bass strings, as beginner guitar lessons just point out, those are repeating notes. They're redundant. It's an extra B, happens to be a low B, and an extra G, a really low G. We already have the open B and G strings. So then why would you need those 2 fat strings at all? Excellent question. Just to fill out the sound, a nice big full, low sound. It beefs up the sound quite a bit, right? On acoustic guitar, especially if maybe you're the only instrument playing chords in a certain context, then you want as big and full a sound as possible. Plus, it's what acoustic guitar does well, is making those big, full sounds, right? But could you get away with only playing the 4 treble strings? Definitely, 100%. The D major 7 and the F major 7 only are focusing on 4 strings, right? The C major 7 has a redundant E. E is an echo. There's 2 different E's in that chord, the skinny open string E, and the 4th string second fret, just a lower E. It's redundant, so that, but we do it, we repeat notes because it creates a nice big full sound. That's all, and by the way, that redundancy, playing the same note like as a high version and a low version within a chord, you've been doing it all along with all the chords you play. Major chords are only 3-note chords, but when you play, like, say, E major, you strum 6 strings. So there's definitely some redundancy in there, but it sounds so good to strum all 6 strings, So beginner guitar lessons ask a great question. What's the difference between major 7 and just a chord that's described as like D7 or A7 or something like that? And that's an excellent question. The formula is changed just slightly. The formula of a 7th chord, also known as a dominant 7, again, A7, D7, no major. The word major is not used at all, right? Just you're being told to play B7, E7. The formula, what you extract from the major scale, 1, 3, 5, and the flatted 7th note. It's a game changer. You literally are taking a chord, taking a note out of the scale, and you're changing it. So technically, you're playing something that's not even in the scale, right? In the case of a C 7th chord, also known as a C dominant 7, you'd be playing a C note plus an E note plus a G note. But instead of playing the B, you're playing B flat, and the result is right there. That sounds very. It's that great bluesy sound. Is it a wrong note? Definitely not. It's just a note that doesn't exist in the C major scale. And there's your blues right there. You can't have blues without the flatted 7th note. Blues is full of chords that use flatted 7th notes by definition. Any chord that's just called A7, B7, C7, D7, where there's no word major inserted anywhere. Yeah, those are academically, they're called dominant 7 chords. We just call them 7ths, right? So change that one note by one little fret, one little half step. When you flat the 7th degree of the scale, you're essentially changing that note. You're moving it lower by a half step, if you want to get academic about it. But it makes it a totally different chord. Good luck singing the blues with major 7 chords. It's just won't be bluesy. It'll be interesting, won't be bluesy, not in the traditional musical sense, that'd be an interesting idea to do a 12-bar blues, but have all the chords be major 7s instead of dominant 7s. Somebody out there do that. Let's see what happens, So, okay, so let's leave it at that. I wanted to show you that little thing right there. And hold on a second. I'm gonna try rebooting my camera. But you know what? My camera doesn't matter because don't go anywhere. I have more to show you. How about if we do one more thing? Those of you who are stuck around all this time, you deserve it. Let's do one more thing. I think I'm down to my last show and tell. Hey, did anyone decide? Anyone have a strong feeling about Can an American songwriter write an Irish folk song? What do you think? That Steve Earle Galway Girl song that we played earlier, that's an example of an American songwriter writing a song that, of course, has a total Irish vibe to it that, from what I can tell, was essentially picked up and sort of absorbed into Irish culture. What do you think? All right, so boom, here's what I'm looking at. Okay, I'm about to change what you're looking at on the screen. Okay, so don't go anywhere. I'm going to stop sharing. You who have stuck around all this time, you deserve one last little thing here. Okay, that's what we're looking at. On the screen, what you are hopefully looking at, or will be looking at in a moment, modes. And hey, a little bit of music theory here, and it goes back to the major scale. Every music theory question begins with the major scale as a reference point. And if you find anything that doesn't eventually lead back to the major scale, let me know, because I can make it lead back to the major scale. I'll find a way. Okay, so we have talked about modes occasionally on this program. Let me see. I'm going to delete a couple of things, get a couple of things out of my way here. Okay, that's what I'm looking at right there. Okay. Scott, you're asking for clarification. Scott is asking, can an Irish songwriter write an American folk song? You know, it's the same question, right? I feel like American culture tends to absorb everything around it. I used bagel, the bagel as an example. You know, chocolate chip banana bagels with strawberry cream cheese. Yeah, God bless America. Okay, so what are we looking at on the screen here? This thought popped in my head because I cannot stop these thoughts. Imagine listening to a song, or imagine, you turn on the radio and you're right in the middle of some song, right? And if you've never heard the song before, potentially, you'll, at least temporarily, you'll hear the song a little bit differently than if you had heard the beginning of the song, right? Now, bear with me. Hear me out here. Depending on the exact phrase, the exact moment, you could come in, during the guitar solo, and it might occur to you like, oh, I wonder if this is an instrumental song, for example. You might come in during the drum solo, but you might come in during a certain phrase, not knowing that it's the end of the chorus. Okay, you get the idea, right? So those of you who have heard the word mode and have heard people refer to modes in music, modes are like coming in mid-song. What does that mean? Okay, we have a major scale, but what if someone is playing the major scale, but you tuned into the major scale they're playing? You tuned in, and they're already part way in to the major scale. That's going to give you a little bit of a different perspective, right? What I wrote on the screen there, the good old C major scale. I'm going to play it for you to get this sound in your head. Classic do, re, mi sound, right? On either side of the C major scale, I put a continuation, because in theory, scales go on forever, right? They go higher and higher and higher. Until you run out of frets. That's how us guitar players would think of it. And they go lower and lower until you run out of frets and strings, right? So they go on forever. This is an important premise here, though, that scales keep on going, right? It's the same notes that repeat higher and higher and higher, right? Higher versions of the same notes as you move through the octaves, and lower versions of the same notes. Now, why is that relevant? If a musician were playing a scale, but you tuned into them playing partway through, you'd have a little bit of a different perspective. You'd have reason to believe the note that you first heard them play was the first note of the scale. So if you came in when they were playing the note D, you would have every right to believe it was a scale that began on the note D. You never heard the C, you thought it was a D. And if they kept playing, higher and higher up the neck, you potentially would still be thinking of that D as a starting point. And if you did have that experience, guess what? You would be experiencing what a mode is. A mode is simply a major scale starting in a different place. And then to make our lives easier, I'm going to say it also ends on that same note. So D going up to the next D, or E going up to the next E, and so on. So those are the two examples I gave you down below. Take a look. I gave example 1, D to D, example 2, A to A. What I hope that you see there is it's the same bunch of alphabet letter notes. It just goes from D to D, right? There's no sharps, flats, nothing confusing like that, just alphabet letter. But because our perspective has changed and shifted a little bit, the overall sound is going to be a little bit different. Now, I'm here to brainwash you. I'm here to play example 1, D to D, with the hopes that you will no longer hear the do, re, mi kind of sound, that you're going to hear something a little bit different. So here's example number 1. It's the notes from a C major scale, but you just happen to come in when the guitar player is playing the note D. Here it comes. I start on D, I ended on D. I'm going to do it again. And I know you agree that did not sound like do, re, mi anymore. If I play it descending, and I begin looping it around over and over again, up and down, you are experiencing a mode. Hey, Sam, thanks for joining us. You're experiencing a mode. It's a mode based on a C major scale, but with D as our focus. Ooh, watch this. Okay, I just loosened my fat 6th string down to D. Pretty good tuning there. And now I'm going to let that note kind of hum in the background. Hopefully I'm beginning to brainwash you here, and you are a long way from the happy, regular sound of C major. You're in the world, ready, of the D Dorian mode. The D Dorian mode. The name D shouldn't come as a surprise, right? We're starting on D, we're ending on D. The word mode shouldn't come as a surprise. All a mode is a scale with a different focus. The word Dorian, I do not know why these Greek names like Dorian are the words we use to describe modes, but now you know. The Dorian mode is the mode that happens when you start on the 2nd note of a major scale and make that your focus. And I'm driving home that note D by tuning my fat string down to D so that you really can't help but to feel that as the tonal center of the song. Okay, one more before it's time to go. Let's do the same thing, but with A as our focus. And of course, I have my open A 5th string there to drive home the point. All right, it's not major sounding anymore. It definitely doesn't sound like C major, even though I'm playing the notes from a C major scale. But I keep coming back to that. Okay, so I was just saying, hey, we're back here. I was just saying we're in a different world. I know that screen just disappeared. Don't worry, we'll get it back. Here it comes. All right. How does that look? Pretty good. There we go. You guys see that okay? I think so. Yes. All right. So that's it. That's it. It occurred to me that a mode, the concept is like entering a song midstream and trying to make sense of it until your brain picks up whatever the pattern of the song is, right? And just another way to describe what modes are. Everything goes back to major scales, my friends. Everything. Okay. On that happy note, I want to thank you for being here, everybody. Next Saturday is good for me if it's good for you. I'm sure I'll come up with some cool things. We'll start talking about those Grammy Awards. Our final poll numbers. Okay, final poll numbers. Do you play to impress people? Final answer, no. 69% of you say, I just play for my own benefit. 24% say, well, a little bit. It's not my top priority. Oh, well, stick around. I'll tell you where I stand on this question. 3% say, I really want to impress people, and 3% say other. Where do I stand in this category? I want to be as good as my students think I am. And that's how I answer that question. I'm trying to be that good. We'll see how I do, but that's my goal. So thanks for being here. Thank you to our moderators, Beginning Guitar Lessons, Music Fan 1004. We're going to check out the Springsteen movie tomorrow and report back next Saturday. Everything we talked about, these PDFs and stuff, are going to be on my website momentarily. Please become a member, song-bike.com. $10 a month. You get access to tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff. Send me an email if you want a list of all the play-along songs we've done. Dozens and dozens and dozens. Send me an email at song-bike.com. Don't forget to follow me on social media, Instagram, Facebook. Just do a search for the term SongBike, all one word, SONGBIKE. That's how you find me on social media. And if you celebrate Christmas, it's not too soon to grab my Christmas book and start learning a bunch of easy, awesome stuff. We'll talk more about that book in the future. All right, you guys, thanks for being here. Stay well, play your guitar a lot, and I'll see you next Saturday. Bye, you guys.